also tell me something that how do you think that humor can, reduce stress or increase productivity at work? Uh, how do you think, like, what's the kind of process do you think? How does humor help in reducing stress and create a
Certainly.
more positive environment?
Yeah, so as an engineer, I am someone who is obsessed with efficiency. I study all of the different, I know about Pareto's principle and Parkinson's law and the Pomodoro technique, and I've read Peter Drucker and Tim Ferriss, and I'm constantly looking for new tweaks and changes and adaptations and all of that. And one thing that I have found to be true is that it is very hard to be productive if you are dead. Or even if you feel like death, right? If you're sick and tired, if you're burned out, worn out, stressed out, demotivated, etc., right? Like, I think so often in productivity, we focus so much on time management, which is certainly valuable. Where does your time go? How are you spending it? But we also have to focus on energy management, because it doesn't matter how much time you have if you never have the energy to do anything with it. Right? It doesn't matter if you have, I have the weekends off to do stuff, but if you're so burned out from the entire week of work, you can't get anything done, or you're not that enjoyable to be around, then it really doesn't matter that much time. And so a big part of humor is around that energy management focus. And so in fact, we just recently shared something in Psychology Today around the 4R strategy of managing stress that we talk about, of which humor plays a big role. So the 4Rs are to reject the things that cause you stress. So one thing that you can do is just stop doing things that cause you stress. So for example, for me, the news sometimes makes me stressed out. And so I stopped reading the news in the morning. I still want to stay informed, but I just moved it from the morning when it would start my day off with a lot of stress to the evening when I can wind down a little bit more and be a little bit more strategic about it. So first strategy is to reject the things that cause you stress. Not really a humor component of it, although there is a lot of fun in creating a to-don't list. Just as you have a to-do list, sometimes taking a look at your to-do list and being like, what are the things that I don't have to, and putting them on a to-don't list can actually be very cathartic and fun. The second strategy is to reframe the things that you have to do. So if you have to do something, rather than thinking about it as a stressful thing, can you add a little bit of humor to it? Can you turn it into a game? Can you make it for fun by listening to music while you do the activity, or doing it with someone that you enjoy, or even just mentally kind of changing your perspective around it? So, for example, when I'm reading emails, I like to read each of the emails in a different accent in my head, just because it's something small that makes the process a little bit more engaging. And so it's reframing that situation. The third strategy is to relieve stress. We know that you're not going to be able to get rid of all of the stress in your life. There are still things that are going to be happening that cause you stress. And in fact, that's overall long-term a good thing, right? Stress is how we grow. It's how we improve. It's how we get more efficient and more productive. The issue is when we don't relieve that stress. And so can we be intentional, like, okay, if I had a stressful meeting today, or if I had a deadline that's causing a lot of stress, or just this conversation or interaction with this person was stressful, how do I relieve that? How can I intentionally say, okay, I'm going to take a break and watch a funny YouTube video, or I'm going to go and do some exercise, or I'm going to call out my friend who always makes me laugh. What can I do to kind of get myself to start laughing? Maybe you do laughter yoga, right? Something I've recently learned about, whatever it is, but something to cause that release of that stress intentionally with humor. And then the fourth strategy, the fourth R, is to refresh every now and then. This is why periodic breaks are helpful, right? Not only just taking advantage of your days off, and not just taking advantage of, say, vacation, every 2 years or something like that if you're in the US, but rather each day and throughout the day, how can you find and carve out small breaks using something like the Pomodoro technique, so that you are staying engaged the entire time, so that you're not getting burned out, but rather are long-term more effective.
Right. That's awesome. I love this framework, and I think it can be used a lot. And it's a really nice way to find a kind of a structure to be more humorous. So thank you for sharing this.
Absolutely. And I think
And
one of the things that that can help, a very actionable thing for people kind of listening to this now, is that they want to manage their stress a little bit better. And what we do in our stress management workshop is we encourage you to create a list of your top 10 stressors. Sit down and think about, okay, what are the things causing me the most stress right now, and write them down in the list. And then after you have that list, go back with a lens of those 4 R's and say, okay, which things on this list can I kind of actually stop doing, or that I can delegate to someone else? During the pandemic, for us in the States, grocery shopping was really stressful, and we're fortunate enough to be in a position where there's a lot of grocery delivery places by us. So it's like, okay, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but we're going to save the stress of not having to go to the grocery store. So we're going to delegate that to someone else or to the gig economy. So go through that list. Okay, what can I reject? What can I reframe? How can I make this particular activity a little bit more fun? Which of these things can't I change, but can I be intentional about how I relieve afterwards? And which of these things long term do I want to make sure that I refresh from? So that can be a very actionable way to then start to incorporate some humor as a stress management technique.